I legally bought 8 classic cars from a widow. Someone posing as her grandson tried to sue, but was exposed as her granddaughter's ex. Mrs. Chen called me at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. Daniel, I need help. I'd been doing her yard work since my dad passed. He'd been her neighbor for 30 years before the cancer took him. Keeping up her property felt like keeping a promise to him. When I arrived, she was standing in her driveway, staring at the padlocked garage that hadn't been opened in 8 months. Thomas kept his cars in there. I can't look at them anymore. Can you help me sell them before I lose this house? Her husband had been a Boeing engineer who spent weekends restoring classics. 6 Mustangs, spanning 1965 to 1973. A 1970 Plymouth Barracuda that looked showroom new. A 1968 Dodge Charger RT. I pulled up comparable sales on my phone. Mrs. Chen, these are worth at least $300,000. Maybe $350,000 if you find the right buyers. You need a professional appraiser. She sat on a workbench. My daughter Amy's in rehab again. 3rd time. I've spent $180,000 on treatment centers. The bank is threatening foreclosure. I don't have time for appraisers and auctions. She wanted $125,000 for everything. I counter-offered $140,000. Every dollar from my welding business savings plus a credit union loan. We met at her bank, signed the titles with documentation, and I recorded the entire transaction on my phone because she insisted. Thomas always said document everything in business. 4 months later, a certified letter arrived from Chen and Associates Legal Group claiming I'd exploited Mrs. Chen's grief-induced cognitive impairment. The lawyer, Marcus Chen, demanded I return the vehicles or pay $400,000, their current appraised value. He claimed to be her grandson from her son's first marriage. The letter mentioned specific cars, the Charger, the Barracuda, details only someone close would know. My stomach dropped. What if there was a grandson I didn't know about? What if Mrs. Chen really had been too grief-stricken to make rational decisions? Marcus showed up at my shop 3 days later with a briefcase and a photographer. I'm documenting the vehicles for our lawsuit. My grandmother's attorney will be filing next week. He walked through my garage taking photos, making notes about improper storage and declining vehicle conditions. I called Mrs. Chen that night. She answered on the first ring. Do you have a grandson named Marcus? Long silence. Then, my son David died in Desert Storm in 1991. He never married, never had children. Why are you asking me this? I sent her screenshots of everything. She called back 20 minutes later, her voice cold as steel. That's Eric Huang. He dated Amy for 3 years, stole from her before she caught him. He knows about the cars because Amy used to bring him to our house before we found out what he was. She paused. Thomas kept a file on him. Bank statements, text messages, everything. We had to get a restraining order after he threatened Amy. It expired 2 years ago, but I still have the file. The next morning, I contacted an attorney. She requested Eric's bar license number from his letterhead. Turns out, Chen and Associates Legal Group was registered to a UPS store mailbox. Eric wasn't a lawyer. He was a paralegal who'd been terminated from a firm 6 months earlier for billing fraud. When Eric sent his final demand email with a 48-hour deadline, I replied with one sentence. My attorney is looking forward to discussing your unauthorized practice of law with the state bar. His response came in 7 minutes. 43 texts begging and threatening. Screenshots of everything went to my lawyer and the district attorney's office. Eric had been running this scam on 3 other families, using obituaries to identify widows who'd sold valuable assets, then posing as lawyers to demand settlement money. He'd collected $85,000 from 2 victims who'd paid rather than fight. Last week, Mrs. Chen called me. Amy wanted you to know that Eric's sentencing is next month. Prosecutor is recommending 5 years.